Good evening, and welcome to a meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach, held Tuesday, July 16th, 2024, at 7 p.m. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Bendo.
Present.
Councilmember Lester.
Here.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Present.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yep.
President Finn.
Present.
Let the record indicate the presence of City Manager Dan Creighton and Corporation Counsel Frank DeCranis. We'll now have a salute to the flag.
Place your hands over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get to the city manager's report, I would just like to make a comment. What we witnessed, all of us on TV or on Saturday night, I think it's important that we take note of the fact that a volunteer fireman gave his life protecting his family, and he's an American hero. The three other people were injured. It's important for us to, I think, understand that our political discourse needs civility. And I'd like to have a moment of silence for Corey Comparatori, the volunteer fireman who was shot and killed on Saturday night. Thank you. May he rest in peace. Now for the city manager report.
Good evening, and thank you for being here tonight. After some tricky weather conditions, the city had a fantastic fireworks show this past Saturday. Thank you to the police department, fire department, beach patrol, and CSEA for pulling it together and making sure everyone stayed safe. We have had nothing but great feedback on the night, so thank you. It was a very busy weekend on the beach, particularly on Sunday. Our lifeguards are once again outstanding in some pretty challenging ocean conditions. Beach Patrol prides itself on taking a proactive approach to lifeguarding and took a total of more than 100,000 preventative actions to keep swimmers safe. That includes whistles, everything, etc. In addition, they made more than 750 swimmer assists over the weekend, physically assisting or aiding a patron out of the water. Everyone that came to the beach went home from the beach. Great job by our lifeguards. Thank you. I also want to give a nod to some of our CSEA workers. You may have noticed that we have stationed CSEA workers at certain ticket booths throughout the city to ensure patrons are purchasing and displaying their beach passes. We appreciate the CSEA for stepping up and working with us on this. The results thus far have been excellent, with a noticeable increase in compliance. This is something we will continue to analyze and may institutionalize in the future. We are now in the thick of the summer and have a ton of events happening between now and our next council meeting. Our free concert series continues tomorrow night at Lincoln Boulevard at 7 p.m. with Sir Duke, a Stevie Wonder tribute band. Don't forget to bring your beach chairs. It should be a good night. This Thursday is the city's summer blood drive happening from 2 to 8 p.m. at the Magnolia Center. Appointments are preferred, but walk-ins are welcome if capacity permits. To make an appointment and help save a life, please call 516-705-7414. The city's Arts and Crafts Festival is back this week for the first time since 2019. It will take place on the boardwalk on Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We'll have over 200 vendors, including food trucks, so there will be something for everyone. The weather is currently looking pretty good, so we're looking forward to seeing everyone there. Saturday night at dark is the first of our free movies on the beach. Aquaman 2 will be shown at Riverside Boulevard Beach. It should be a great time. Again, don't forget your beach chair. Thank you to the city's civic associations for partnering to bring these movies to our residents, and thank you to National Grid Ventures for sponsoring Saturday night's movie. The next Friday nights in the plaza will be taking place on August 2nd from 5 to 9 p.m. in Kennedy Plaza. Funk band Milo Z will be playing, and arts and crafts vendors will be lining the plaza. Thank you to the Arts in the Plaza and Arts in Partnership for working with the city to bring these nights to our residents. Tuesday, August 6th, is National Night Out. National Night Out is our national community building campaign with the goal of building a stronger relationship between the police and the communities they serve. From 4 to 7 p.m. in Kennedy Plaza, the Long Beach Police Department will be cooking up food, showing off some of their equipment, and hosting dozens of community partners who will be offering activities and resources for the whole community. Lastly, I just want to take a moment to welcome the Waterfront Warriors to Long Beach. Sunday's Warrior Run and the parade were fantastic. This is the week that Long Beach truly shines as we welcome and honor our nation's heroes. Thank you to Jerry Snell and his whole team for doing what they do. We wish the Warriors and their families a fun and relaxing week in our city by the sea. And please, everybody, if you see these Warriors, please thank them for their service. With that, I conclude my city manager's report.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay. Our first item this evening is a public hearing for an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding Ocean Beach Park.
Okay. So this public hearing is to address some of the issues we have been having on Ocean Beach Park. It allows for the city manager and the police commissioner to modify the schedule for opening the beach by filing a memorandum with the city clerk, setting forth a modified schedule. This can be for the beach or boardwalk in an emergency to preserve peace, health, or safety. Of course, this modification can be revoked by the city council with a majority vote. Some may feel this authority already exists, but I do not see it in the explicitly stated in the code. Therefore, out of excess of caution, we thought it was prudent to formalize it and process it through this amendment.
Okay. Question from the council.
Yes. I looked at the code too, and I looked at New York state law, and I did see that under Section 74 of the code, the council has the right to define and prevent disorderly conduct, to prevent all disorderly assemblages, all disturbing noises, all drunkenness in public places, and to punish vagrants, beggars, and disorderly persons as defined by law. So that, I think, is authority. It also gives them the right to prohibit or regulate bathing or swimming in any waters in the city, which kind of takes care of the beach. Now, the city manager also, according to the code, this is Section 20, he shall have the power and authority to call out and command the police and firemen of the city whenever, in his discretion, he deem it necessary, and such command shall be in all respects obeyed. Whenever necessary for the prevention or suppression of public disturbances, mobs, or riots, it shall be his duty to take such action as is authorized by the laws of the state. Then, if we look at the, hold on, so many papers here, the laws of the state. New York state law under Section 24. It's titled Local State of Emergency, Local Emergency Orders by Chief Executive. And it says basically, notwithstanding any inconsistent provision of law, general or special, in the event of disaster, rioting, catastrophe, or similar public emergency within the territorial limits of any county, city, town, or village, or in the event of reasonable apprehension of immediate danger thereof, which was what we had a few weeks ago, and upon finding by the chief executive thereof that the public safety is imperiled thereby, such chief executive may proclaim a local state of emergency with any part of the territorial limits of such local government. And then it talks about unless it's a radiological accident. But it allows the chief executive to do whatever he needs to do to preserve the peace, which would include everything that this ordinance talks about, shutting the beach park, limiting the hours, stuff like that. So I personally find this totally unnecessary. It's already in the charter, and it's already in New York state law. So Dan, when you said you didn't find it, that's where I found it, and you used Section 24 when you said shut the beach last time.
It also pertains to the police commissioner. Does that
Yes, the
code?
police
I thought it says the
commissioner.
chief executive.
He has the power and authority to, well, the police commissioner does have that power.
I didn't see it in there.
Explicitly?
Yeah, that law enforcement, the city police department shall have the authority to order any person or persons acting in violation of any provision of this article to leave the park or recreation area.
But it does not give them the permission to close the beach or beach park.
Well, that the city manager has. And, you know, he has it under New York state law and under our law.
Yes, this allows both the city manager and the police commissioner to make that call.
The police commissioner already has that power. He has
No.
not the power, he has the power to remove people.
Right, this is more than removing people, this is the ability to close beach park.
Well, why wouldn't the city manager do that?
It would be either me or him. If there's a situation at the beach that requires it made very quickly without my, being present at the time, he would have that authority.
He has that power.
I don't see it the same way, but I think, I
Didn't we
think
just
the
talk
idea.
about this for an hour, though? Why wasn't this brought up then?
I think the
Didn't we
idea
just
here
talk
is-
about this for an hour? Why wasn't this brought up then, this whole thing? We just sat on this subject for 1 hour and this wasn't brought up.
We talked about things for an hour.
No, you just read.
Why didn't we meet last Wednesday then?
You just
Why
read.
didn't we meet the
I don't-
meeting
it was-
before?
it was-
Or the meeting before? 3 times now, we've canceled our
canceled.
pre-city
Okay,
council
so
meetings.
let's just stick to the subject here.
So I think the idea is to amend this code of ordinances to make it explicit that the authority exists in this for the city. I don't know if everybody that reads the charter is going to go back and forth between the state code and et cetera. And I actually think that it's a little odd in that state. It says it's state chief executive. It's in the chief executive for the state and an emergency, et cetera. I don't think that these issues here are necessarily state emergency actions.
That's just exactly what you used.
Okay,
It's
okay,
Section
but-
24, last time you closed it. You said it in your order.
I said emergency to the city, not to the state.
Yes, and Section 74 talks about emergencies to the city.
I see no reason why we can't have a more explicit ordinance.
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay,
Every time-
okay, good.
every time
Any
there's
other
an
comments
incident.
from the council?
John?
John?
Yeah, just one.
Sure.
So I think the issue is here is it's sort of covered through vagaries currently in the code. Section 20 says, whenever necessary for the prevention or suppression of public disturbances, mobs, or riots, the city manager can take such action as authorized by the laws. But that's kind of vague. So I get that the intent of this is to provide some clarity in one spot instead of having to jump around. The issue, and we did talk about this a little bit just before the meeting, is I believe the intent of this was in extenuating circumstances to give you that authority. The concern I have is, as currently written, it doesn't address that it's under extenuating circumstances, it's under any circumstances. I think that it could be easily cleaned up to clarify that. I just don't know if we can do that since it's been noticed with this specific wording.
I know your issue is with the ability to close the park. As the first 2 sentences are in bold in the proposed
Right,
ordinance.
the intent of what we want to do is correct.
Right.
It's just providing that clarifier that it's in a, what
Yeah.
those extenuating circumstances are, public disturbances, riots,
Right.
to protect public safety, not
So
anytime anyone feels like it.
I do see your concern. I think the first 2 sentences basically say that if we want to do it for any reason, we would have to file with the city clerk, and then have it formally done that way first. The third sentence, which gets into in an emergency for the preservation of public peace, health, or safety, city manager, police commission may order a modified schedule before filing a schedule modification memorandum with the city clerk. So long as the schedule modification memorandum is eventually filed with city clerk as soon as practicable. I think the issue is, you're focusing on the second part, but the first part is really saying we can do it, but we'd have to follow the process. This would allow us in emergency to follow the process after the fact, as opposed to before.
No,
the fact,
I
right?
understand that, but those first 2 sentences allow you to do it, as long as you file that memo, you could do it for any reason whatsoever. It doesn't have to be to
Right.
protect public safety. It's for any reason.
But the third sentence, I think, provides the verbiage for extenuating circumstances.
No, all that sentence does is say he can do it without filing the memo in advance.
For an
That's all it says.
In an emergency.
Right.
For the preservation of public
Right,
peace.
I mean,
So that's extenuating
I'm
circumstances.
just saying, and I'm going to give a ridiculous extreme example just to highlight, but we have a city manager who's having a bad day for whatever reason and says,
He doesn't have bad days.
I'm going to close the boardwalk. This allows them to do that just by filing a memo with the
If
city
we have a
clerk.
city manager who makes emotional decisions
I'm
like
just-
that, we'd probably fire him.
All I'm saying
This
is,
just simply simplifies what the city
I think
manager
we
can
all
do.
agree
Yeah.
the need to do it. I think what I'm just saying is we need to do it the right way.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying
All right.
is, I don't think there's disagreement on the need to do this.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
We're disagreeing about the wording. We disagree
Yeah,
on the
I
need
think-
for it, but the wording is what we disagree on.
Right, in other words, just as a for example,
Yeah.
that first bold sentence, it said, to protect public health and safety, the police commissioner or city manager may. That's what
Okay.
I'm saying. Something as simple as that. Clean.
But I think it takes care of it in the third sentence. That's my point. So I think we disagree, but I think we're very close.
Because the way I read it, the third sentence, all it does is say, well, if it's an emergency, he can still do it, he just doesn't have to file the memo until after the fact.
Right, but
But he can still do it.
that's an important component of
course.
the ordinance. I mean,
But what I'm saying is, the
that's why
first
we're
two
doing it.
sentences say you don't need any reason to do it.
But you have to file a schedule.
That's right, sending an email.
Right, but you have to do it. It's,
But that doesn't slow the process down at
Okay.
all.
I don't understand how this is different than the executive order from June 14th, where it says, whereas Section 24 of the New York State Executive
Right.
Law authorizes the chief executive officer of a city pursuant to a declaration of a local state of emergency to issue orders to preserve the public safety, well-being, and health of the city at time. This is what we used last time. It worked perfectly. Why change it? Why?
Again, I think the idea was to make sure it was formalized in our code of ordinances, so that, so that it was clear in our code of ordinances. I do agree, I think we have the right to do that. I think it was to formalize it, make it more clear, and put it in our code of ordinances that, to clarify so that everybody knows that I had the authority to do it, because I know there were some questions when we did
Right.
do it, as to whether
Okay,
we were
so-
allowed to do it or not.
Just put in that
Your
in the
your
code of
disagreement is
ordinances,
well noted.
is that
Do we have any other
use
comments?
No.
Section 24.
Any other comments on the council? No. Okay. Noted. Comments from the public? Come on up.
Hi, can you hear me? Steve Gallego, Long Beach. Just the only thing is, I think this whole conversation was based on like the beach park and the boardwalk and whatnot.
Right.
But as long as it's gone on this long about what's going on, it also spilled over to the train station. How does the authority of, the city to close the train station down?
That's
or
the MTA,
any other place besides, we're not just a boardwalk and a beach.
Right, that's
It's
the
on-
MTA though, but
their
not to nitpick, but that's the MTA, that we don't
Okay. So
have
any-
that control.
Anything other than the beach, whatever would be, whatever the jurisdiction is.
Well, the police commissioner isn't,
Can close it.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Okay, we'll close that.
Okay, second public hearing is for an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding personnel code.
Okay, so this item is to close some of the loopholes experienced in the past with regards to overpayment at separation of services. This item spells out what the separation payment limits are with regards to sick leave, personal leave, vacation leave, et cetera. This will prevent overpayment of leave balances in the future. Sick leave will be capped at 30%, while personal and vacation leave will be capped at the levels set forth in the CSEA collective bargaining agreement. Only the City Council can authorize levels beyond what is included in the CSEA collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, comments from the council?
Yes, the problem with this is exempts were not allowed to take this kind of benefit. They were limited to the 400 hours, and now we're raising them to 640. Now, I understood that exempts were getting this benefit, it just wasn't codified. Then I understand that only certain ones were getting it, and they only got it when the city council okayed for those particular ones. So, Scott, you know more about this than anybody. Can you clarify this for us?
Well, Scott's walking up. I'm going to translate into English what Roy was just trying to explain and left out for people that don't speak
Maybe
government.
Scott can.
What this is doing is currently an exempt employee in the city can accumulate a maximum of 50 days of vacation. Once they go over that, they have to get permission from the city council to go over the 50 days or they lose it. This is proposing to change that 50 days that they could accumulate up to 80 days of vacation. So they could carry more vacation on the books, but it would also, in theory, increase cash outs they would get when they leave city employment.
All right, I have a little prepared statement, and then I'll be glad to go beyond that. First of all, I'm speaking on my own behalf as an aggrieved exempt employee. He's suffered through some of these changes that went on. First of all, this is about fairness and equity. It's about good government. What it's not about is politics. Exempt employees always receive the same benefits as the CSCA employees. A few years back, probably 10, I'm dating myself, I've been an exempt employee now for 26 years. The code was changed on how vacation was accrued. And every employee at Long Beach got 25 days infused into their vacation time, putting everybody over the allowable limit. It was addressed in the CSCA collective bargaining agreement where their cap got raised. It was never changed in the personnel code, but for many years until, Mr. Bendo, your administration came in, the exempts were always allowed to carry over the same amount of time as the CSCA employees. The code was different. I agree with you. That's why we're here tonight.
All exempts?
All exempts, yes. I'm not talking about payouts.
Right.
Right. I'm talking about accrued time that at the end of the year we had more than that 400 hours and we didn't lose it.
Up to any point?
Up until that cap that was in the CSCA contract.
Which was the 640.
Anything over that was then put into our sick leave bank as it's stated in the CSCA contract and how it is here in the proposed change in the code. This was all brought to light when we had that alleged scandal. I think we spent about $1.5 million in legal fees to not find any criminal wrongdoing, and obviously I think we had to pay people for some of their time and settle with them. But let's move on beyond that. The bottom line is they determined nothing illegal took place during that time, both the Nassau County District Attorney's Office and the FBI. I was interviewed by both of them, so I'm well aware of it. What's happening tonight is we're updating our code, one, to prevent what happened previously to occur again, as well as clearing up some issues that are silent in the personnel code. It also gives the City Council control over payouts while people are still in employment. Nobody can get a payout for sick time based upon this proposed code unless it's approved by the majority of the City Council. This does not guarantee any salary increases. We don't get the same percentage as CSAA employees. That would still be up to the administration of what raises the exempts got. Hopefully, now that we're moving on, it would be more fair and equitable than it was done during the previous administration. This just gives management employees an even playing field with the union employees who work for us. there is no different than the County of Nassau, the City of Glen Clove, the Town of Hempstead, the Village of Freeport, etc. Some of their code, the City of Glen Cove, just says all exempt employees receive the same benefits as the CSEA employees. It's one sentence. Not as convoluted as ours, but we're Long Beach. This is not about one employee. It's about a group of hardworking city employees who get no overtime, typically work more than the 8-hour day, and are not entitled to any overtime or comp time. We get no guaranteed raises, no job security. Until I turned 55, every 2 years I hid under my desk until the smoke cleared in the new administration. Now, I used to joke that I would go out the door with my nails scratching on the floor. Now I'll go out the door whistling and waving. We just want the same benefits the rank and file workforce get. Selfishly, during the pandemic, I came to work every day when other people got to stay home. Did I get to go on vacation? No. I manned the OEM every day, and Mr. Bendo, you got to report every day from me what was going on. But I couldn't use my vacation time, and I sent a memo to then Donna Gaydon requesting to carry it over. 2 weeks later, I got a response that the city council would not entertain that. You were one of those members. So, again, a hardworking employee came to work every day. I could have stayed home like the majority of other employees, no, but I came to work, but I got punished for it because I'm an exempt employee. We're your management employees. You want us to work for you, you got to treat us like the rest of the employees. Now I'll be glad to answer any questions if I didn't cover anything.
Scott, my only question was, to me it seems like if you always got it, why was it taken away? Why wouldn't you be getting it? But then I was told that everybody didn't get it, that only a few select got it, and that they had to go through the city council to get it.
That was for certain payouts, but not for just the accrued, not leaving, not retiring. This is just a normal guy working year to year. If I was entitled to have that over 600 hours of vacation on the books, no harm, no foul, right, until it was brought to light that the personnel code was different. So it was treated the same way by previous administrations. It was brought to light that the personnel code was different than the collective bargaining agreement for the union employees. We're here tonight just to make this right, to correct a wrong.
Yeah, I don't know where it went wrong like that. You know what people say, hey, they are exempt, they're getting more money, but on the other hand,
we're not.
You don't
I
get overtime.
my job tomorrow to be a paid fireman.
Right. You don't get overtime. You don't get set hours. There's a lot of things that exempts don't get.
Roy, are these general questions or directed directly at Scott?
Scott's the only one who really knows this. So that's why they're directed at Scott.
Okay, because they sound personal.
As what's personal? I'm asking you. Yeah, I'm asking,
I didn't hear the question.
No, I just, one of the things about exempts is even though they get more money, they put in unlimited hours.
No.
They don't get overtime.
Correct.
And it's tornado outside. Yeah. And
I get nauseous every time I go on see-through New York, so.
Yeah. So, I totally understand that. My biggest issue was if you had it before, why weren't you keep getting it? And that was the question I asked.
Because the personnel code was never updated, right. Only the CSEA collective bargaining agreement.
Right. Thank you, Scott. That's what I wanted to know.
John?
So I was just going to clarify one thing you said. There were 2 years that we took votes to allow you and other employees that had exceeded the 50 days to carry them over. And on the second time we did it, there was the caveat that that wasn't going to continue in perpetuity.
Correct, but then the pandemic hit. And everything else was done under the, the cover of the pandemic, I thought the courtesy could have been extended to your management team that was here in the building, working every day, for one more year.
Any other comments from the council?
No, Scott, thank you. We appreciate that, and I think we're here tonight to correct something that was done.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
Comments from the public? Yes.
Sean O'Neill, CSEA Executive Board. John, that's a sweet suit. CSEA is standing in solidarity with the extremely hardworking exempts on this item, and we're asking all you just to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Any other comments from the public? Okay, we'll close that.
Third public hearing is for an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding motor vehicles and traffic.
Okay, so this public hearing is to increase the minimum fine for motor vehicles and traffic from $2 to $50, maximum fine from $250 to $500. This includes fines for usage of e-bikes in unauthorized areas such as the boardwalk and sidewalks in the business district.
Comments from the council?
Yes. I understand this is something to address the electric bikes. It's the idea that we're going to increase a fine when there's virtually very little enforcement, to me, doesn't make sense. If you want to stop people from doing something, you enforce it, and they're going to stop. And the difference between, the idea, well, we're going to solve this problem by increasing the fine, isn't going to do it. The only way you solve these problems is by enforcing it. Look at red light cameras. It wasn't the fine that did it, it was the certainty of being caught. And all of a sudden, people stopped running red lights. So much so that the government, who had depended on the money, started losing money. My understanding, the last time I asked, we had 4...
Is that documented? That the government...
Yes, absolutely. That the government, they lost the money that they thought they were going to get. Absolutely. If you want me to get you the documentation,
I really would love to see that. Which government?
Suffolk County. Suffolk County had depended
because
on
New York
a lot
City
of
keeps
money.
adding cameras, so it doesn't seem like they're losing money.
Well, they're not getting the money that they thought they were. Anyway, that has nothing to do with this. Okay?
Okay, brought it up, though.
The idea of making it difficult for people on motorized bicycles to be on the boardwalk is something I 100% support. And the minimum fine of $2 is ridiculous. But the idea of raising the fine and not doing the enforcement doesn't solve the problem. It's just like, so we can say, look what we're doing to solve the problem. That's not going to solve it. And if you look at it, the other question I asked, and I'm not sure what the answer is, and Rich, maybe you know this, how many tickets have been given out, I use the last 9 years, for people walking in the bike lanes?
I think the bicycle tickets were about 180 or so. I just sent you an email. I don't know off the top of my head.
108. I was told that there were 60 summonses from 2015 for bikes and walking. And in 9 years, that's not a lot of summons, but it's the walking that I'm curious about. Because most of the problems, nobody wants speeding bikes, but the people who get hit and hurt are the ones that walk in the bike lane.
So, Rich, while you're looking that up, I just want to address a couple of things. This is for all motor vehicles and traffic violations in the Section 15. It does include e-bikes, and one of the reasons that we first started looking at it was e-bikes to make sure that we were hitting that. The idea that a $2 fine would stop anybody from using an e-bike is absurd. I mean, a $2 fine is a waste of everybody's time, not even worth the cop's time to give the ticket. And enforcement of that would do nothing. A $50 fine, however, on the other hand, may be something that people would cringe a little bit on and stop behavior. The enforcement, as far as the enforcement, we did start a big activity on the boardwalk with barricades to basically stop people, inform them that the e-bikes are not allowed on the boardwalk. It was a move to try to prevent people and educate them first before we started hitting them with big fines, or small $2 fines. I think the idea is that, you educate first and you slap on the wrist afterwards, and I think that was the way we were going. Rich, I'll let you talk more about that when you're ready, if you want.
Yeah, no, I can't find the email right now, but there are challenges with enforcing the speed by e-bikes because of the speed. So we will be next year's budget, we'll be requesting e-bikes of our own.
Can you say that again?
There are challenges enforcing e-bike regulations on the boardwalk. I have a cop on foot, and it's hard to catch these bikes. So there are challenges. We do have some techniques that I don't want to discuss in an open city council meeting, but we do have techniques that we've employed to improve those enforcement efforts. Also, I will be requesting in next year's budget for our own e-bikes so we can catch up with these people. We do have Polarises on the boardwalk, we do set up checkpoints, and we do set up at entrances and exits to the boardwalk to try to get the people who are violating the e-bike ordinance.
Which is, that's the way it's going to stop the enforcement, not doubling the fine.
I don't disagree with you. Enforcement's an important role, but also fines are important as well. There has to be some type of, I believe it's a combination of both, enforcement and fines.
That's right. The minimum fine is absurd. I agree with that.
Yeah, $2 is really not,
it's
nothing.
I have no problem with raising the minimum fine. I don't see the point of raising a $250 fine that's never given to $500 and say, this is our solution. Our solution should be enforcement.
But it's not a $250 fine that's going to $500. It's a $250 maximum fine that's going to a maximum fine of $500. The minimum fine, the fine for it is actually $2.
It's not a problem. That's not an issue.
Right, but we're going around in circles here.
Yeah, right, moving on.
Any other comments from the council? Comments from the public? We'll start with Tim Kramer. He had it up first, sorry. It's like the buzzer, right? Jeopardy.
The Jeopardy buzzer.
You got the answer, Tim.
Hi, Tim Kramer, 361 East Broadway. So the concern with the e-bikes is the speed, right? That's the purpose behind this, correct?
So
is the potential speed of the e-bikes?
It's a motorized vehicle. No motorized vehicles allowed on the boardwalk. But this is if you look at it's use of vehicles, bicycles, and tricycles on pedestrian ways.
Right.
So e-bikes factor into that.
Right. The police commissioner he just mentioned speed. Speed is the issue. So my question is this, and speed is a problem. It's a problem. It's a big problem, and it's a dangerous problem.
Safety is the issue.
100%.
Right.
There's no argument.
Right.
So my concern and question is simply this: there are people, bike enthusiasts, we'll call them, right? They got these super carbon fiber $10,000 bikes, and they go down the boardwalk 100 miles an hour. So. And we were walking the boardwalk today, in fact, and somebody he was coming down 30, 40 miles an hour and screaming at everybody, telling them to get out of the way. That this was his workout, and so the problem is the speed. The speed is
one of the problems, yes, and it's something that is absolutely being discussed.
So are these people that are on these touring bikes, are they then going to get a fine as well for the excess speed that they're traveling?
So that's going to require a change in the ordinance as well.
I mean, I can get on my big wheel and race down 30 miles an hour on the boardwalk and be a menace and a danger to people. So
I agree with you.
The speed is the problem, and I think, in all honesty, if someone is riding whatever it is in a respectable manner, then this doesn't make sense to me. I got to be honest with you. But I'm not there, I'm over here, so.
It's one of the issues, there's no doubt about it. Linda, right?
I'll be quick. Linda Giles, Long Beach. After being on the boardwalk the other day with friends of mine, seeing everything that you're talking about going on, we saw a policeman and we said that there was an electric bike flying. And she said to us, "What can I do? I'm on a little cart here. I can't go catch them." And that's the truth. So, if the issue is safety, we have to keep reminding the people in Long Beach what the rules are. Just a suggestion, in these little cars that go on the boardwalk with the police, if we could have a recorded message, a very nice recorded message. "We hope you're enjoying the boardwalk. Please remember the rules," and list the rules, and keep doing it every so often as they go on the boardwalk. They'll hear it again and again, warn them of the fines, and the people who are doing what they're supposed to do will know what they are and say to somebody possibly, "Hey, you're going too fast." The police can't handle this. They just can't. They're flying all over the place. Just a suggestion.
Thank you. It's a good suggestion, and I appreciate it. But the police can handle it. It's gonna require a lot more, let's say, thought and strategy.
But until we have the resources, maybe we can just have a nice recording. I'm willing, a nice voice. I'm willing to.
A nice voice. Maybe it should be you. Okay.
Brendan. Yeah, I agree with you, Linda. I think it's several prong attack. Really, it's enforcement, it's the fines, but it's also public awareness. So I think we can talk with Stacy and John about even doing a post just to remind. I agree with you. It's a public service announcement as well, just to remind.
Yeah, I agree. Christina.
Good evening, Christina Kramer. I'm not entirely sure what we are talking about, ticket revenue. Are we trying to make revenue, or are we trying to prevent accidents for safety reasons? Once again, I'd like to point out that there are no safe bike lanes from east to west. You want to take a quality of life item away, you got to give a quality of life item back to the people. And I agree with my husband that it's speed, and but I understand your point of not having motor vehicles on the boardwalk, even though I'd like to ride my own bike up there. I have a few suggestions. Well, the bike lane number one, you have to get a bike lane that's safe, that you can ride east to west, and one north to south. I mean, how do we not have that? Howard Beach has those all over the place. White lines, little dotted lines, little guides. I mean, we can do better than we are for the people in Long Beach who want to transport ourselves manually. And another suggestion is to limit the speed on the weekends. During the high time hours, I know you're putting out those yellow guards, but maybe you could put out one of those marquees that just shows you that you're going 15 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour. Like when they see, oh my God, I'm going pretty fast. Sometimes a biker might not recognize that they're going very fast, and just to see the number, you're like, whoa. And
Except some people are going to try to exceed it.
Well, that's true. But then, like maybe you could put that ticker tape sign there, and once in a while have the specials like kind of waiting so that they can see, oh, if I see that ticker tape, I better slow down. That's just an idea. And then I agree about the touring bikes. The guys on the touring bikes with the elbows down, they're flying, so I don't know how you're going to catch them. Signs on a few of those bikes. You got those little green and white bike lane guards. Maybe put a couple of 10-mile-per-hour signs or 15 miles an hour, whatever you decide on it. Like, let people know that there is a speed limit. People don't know. They think it's a free-for-all, so that's why they're going fast. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. How could I ever forget your name?
James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street in our great city. Just wanted to add on, like the other speakers said, it's, is this a hidden tax? I mean, it's the speed. There are a lot of seniors up there, and some of their bikes, they need a little extra help, and some of their older ages, and they would get a fine just for having a little motorized, vehicle. I mean, will their motorized wheelchairs get fined too? Because, I'm just saying.
No, that's an ADA exception.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying it's motorized, but some of them are on motorized bikes, and some of them, need it. So to go up and fine, and when you said, was Roy correct on that? Yeah, the county actually lost a lot of money because they were budgeting in a certain amount of money to, when we first got red light cameras, I went up to Albany and helped to push for Nassau County to be able to get those funds, and Nassau County to be able to give those funds to Nassau County Youth Board, because they were giving it to over 50 youth agencies, and then they end up putting it into their budget, and a lot of youth agencies lost out. So is this something just to get more revenue? Because enforcement, the police department could handle it. There's tons of specials out there. When there was a dog issue and I worked for the police department, it was dogs everywhere in Ocean View.
It's safety. It's a safety issue.
But I'm saying, so with the safety issue, is if it's just enforcement, it's enforcement. When there was a dog issue, we put more animal control officers out there and we handled it. It's a lot of specials that's out there, and if they're just enforcing it, you don't have to raise it for the taxpayers that's already paying taxes that may just have, a motorized bike, but it's speed. And I really think that they can enforce it, doing some of the things that some of the other speakers said. But hey, you guys will do what you do. I just think that if you enforce it, it will be a difference, and it does not necessarily mean that you have to raise it on probably the people that majority will end up getting fined, the people from Long Beach. And again, safety is safety no matter what. That's a priority to me, but I really believe that enforcement is key.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll close that.
Okay, our last public hearing is for a local law amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding city officers, their general powers and duties.
So this public hearing is to address issues with the treasurer responsibilities. Our financial consultant suggested that our treasurer either create a treasurer office or the treasurer be combined into the comptroller position, as has been done in various other municipalities. The duties of the treasurer currently listed in the charter are primarily functions of the comptroller. It also cleans up some of the language in the charter with regards to pronouns, using they, them, rather than he throughout, just in case, you never know who's going to get the position. So that's really about it.
Okay. I'll make a comment that Dan, I don't think he mentioned just now, but he might have, that it was advised by CMA that this would be an advantageous move for the city. That's my own comment. A comment from the council?
I have a question, just a quick one for the clerk. The wording in this final resolution is slightly different with the pronoun changes compared to what we noticed. Is it still okay?
It was not substantive.
So we can still vote?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But that's a plural, right?
Okay. Well, it could go either way, really.
No, it's one way. There is plural, right? Means it's from they.
Well,
You brought it up.
No, yeah. So all through the code and the charter, it's always been written in the masculine form of he, or we say the mayor. It still says the mayor everywhere, which really means city manager. So as we clean these up, we tend to fix those. So that's what we did since the last meeting. We fixed everywhere where it says he, we just changed it to they.
That's ambiguous, but I'm not gonna split hairs right now.
Well, for example,
No, I understand.
our treasurer will be a she, even though everything in the code would say he.
But she won't be a they, because that they is
Well,
two.
we can make it he/she.
Okay,
We can do that.
we've done enough here. Any other comments? Comments from the public? Okay. Close that.
Okay. On to the regular calendar. Item 1 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding Ocean Beach Park. A hearing has been held on this item already. Item 2 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding Personnel Code. A hearing has been held on this item already. Item 3 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding motor vehicles and traffic. An item has been held on this item already. Item 4 is a local law amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding city officers, the general powers and duties. A hearing has been held on this item already. Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept a charitable donation.
Okay, so this resolution allows the city to accept a charitable donation from the Squads Memorial Roller Hockey Tournament in the amount of $9,905 for the purchase of a new electronic scoreboard. I would like to thank the group for their generous donation. Joe Brand is here for more information if you have any questions.
Thank you, Dan. The Squads Memorial Tournament took place this past May. It was the second year they did it. The tournament is held to honor 4 members of the Long Beach community who were significant contributors to the hockey family here. Jimmy Diamond, Sam Magnoli, Lee Gatch, and Garen Hagan. The idea was spearheaded by teammates, friends, and community members who wanted to do something to honor their legacy. The idea about the scoreboard was when the organizers approached me and said, you know, this is the place where so many of us Long Beach hockey players really cut our teeth. They wanted to do something at the roller rink. The board that we've had there now has been out of order and basically hasn't worked in many, many years. So we all sat down, agreed that the best idea would be to have a new scoreboard put in. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of 2 of those members, Chris Corrigan and Timmy Phillips. Please stand up.
Thank you.
I've known these guys the better parts of their lives, along with some of the other ones. They're former players of mine, terrific friends of mine, and guys that actually paid attention when we were giving the lectures about giving back and paying forward. So to you guys and the rest of your crew, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you, guys. Any comments from the council?
I would just, Chris and Tim, thank you so much. It's great. Incredible charitable donation. Joe, we'll be able to use that scoreboard. Like, I know we reinstituted the roller hockey leagues for the kids. It's especially important because not all, kids can afford ice hockey. Ice hockey is expensive. So the fact that they have that venue for roller hockey, I think, is fantastic. Are we going to be able, we'll use the scoreboard for those games as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The idea here is, it goes much more beyond just the charitable donation. If you saw the event that day, not only the quality of play and the enthusiasm of these guys to take home this 12-foot trophy and parade through the West End with it, but the idea here is, and some of you guys that are up there, we grew up playing this sport. I mean, there were 3 roller rinks in town. Every kid in town played it, and for several reasons, the roller hockey program kind of fell apart, and this is all stuff that we're putting together to try and resurrect it and get it back to where it once was. So
That's
yes.
great. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
Any comments from the public?
James Hodge. Just wanted to thank you, Joe, and I would like to thank the organizers of this organization. It's one of the things that, people in Long Beach really wanted. They really wanted roller hockey to come back, and Chris and to all of the organizers that did this in honor of great people, I would like to just, as a resident, thank them for putting this together and thank them for the donation because, a lot of people forget about giving back, and then some people don't appreciate people when they do give back. So as a resident, I would like to thank them for giving back to the city and doing such a great event in honor of great members from our community. So again, thank you.
Thank you. No other comments. I'll make a comment. I played roller hockey on the ice rink that became the roller rink that now is the arena. I don't think anybody else in the room did that. It was great, though. We needed a good scoreboard, so thank you, guys. That's it. We'll close that.
Okay. Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase towels and tissues from the lowest responsible bidders.
Okay, so this item allows us to purchase towels and tissues from the lowest responsible bidder. These items are required to be bid out by public RFP and was advertised to get the most interested bidders possible, as many interested bidders as possible. Unfortunately, we cannot, as a public entity, go to Stop and Shop or Costco and just buy these in bulk. There were various respondents, and each of them was individually awarded to the lowest responsible bidder for that individual item. That's it.
Council comments.
I guess just a question. One of the suppliers, the address is a P.O. box here in Long Beach. Is that unusual? That there's not a brick and mortar address?
You know, I didn't even notice that, but probably a little unusual unless that's where they get their deliveries and they just hold a manufacturing or storage facility.
I mean, I looked up that I can only find one company with even has this name, and it's out in West Babylon, in an unmarked building. I mean, I'm not saying they're not illegitimate. I'm just saying it's just a little unusual that
It's odd to have
that a
P.O.
supplier
it's
would
odd.
have a P.O. box in Long Beach for an address, rather than, if this is the same company, their
If they drop
office in
ship
West
or
Babylon.
deliver or.
Yeah, it's odd. It's odd.
If they're a legitimate company,
Something to look at.
it just seemed a little odd to me.
I will definitely look into that. I'll get back to you on that.
And just, this is minor, I don't think it's, the Imperial bag, it has the address as 225, it's actually 255.
That's not a...
It's not,
Yeah, it's not a
it's not a
significant-
material
Yeah, it's not
change.
a material
I'm just pointing that out.
Thank you. I'll check that.
Any other comments? The council?
No.
And public comments? Okay, we'll close that.
Okay, item 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order for the supply, transport, and delivery of concrete from the most responsible bidder.
Okay, this resolution similarly allows us to order concrete to the lowest responsible bidder on an as-needed basis at a cost of $95 per cubic yard for 3,500 PSI concrete. I believe calcium chloride for an additional $15 per cubic yard, winter concrete. Calcium chloride, $95 for New York State calcium chloride concrete, $15 additional for winter concrete, $200 for short loads, additional charge, and $10 per cubic yard for concrete accelerator. This was bid out publicly and was awarded to the lowest responsible, or would be awarded to the lowest responsible bidder.
Comments from the council? Mike?
Just one thing I just want to point out. So 2 years ago, when the last time we voted on this, the concrete we used the most is Nassau County Class A. We were paying $147.50. We're actually going down to $128. So we're actually saving basically $20 a cubic yard on concrete. So
Yeah, these are very good prices.
So these are good prices. We're actually saving money with this.
And $95 for 3,500 PSI
Yeah.
concrete is very good
So
price as well.
this is good.
All right. Nice job, Dan. Comments from the public? All right. Close that.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase a 2023 Chevrolet Silverado under Franklin County contract.
Okay, this last item is to purchase a new 2023 Silverado under publicly bid contract for a water rescue pickup truck for the fire department. This will replace a seriously dilapidated pickup currently that is used. It's a pre-Sandy vintage vehicle that currently exists, which has rot in the frame, so bad that the gas tank fell off the frame while filling up with fuel earlier this month. I have Joe Miller here in case there's any questions as well. I think a couple of chiefs I saw here as well.
Okay.
I got Joe, is this a take-home vehicle, or does this get parked somewhere and used as a? It's okay. And since we're replacing this because the other one basically rotted out after Sandy and stuff from the rust and everything. Right. So one of the lessons I guess we learned when we bought the sewer vacuum truck recently is the garage is now going to be applying rust proofing to some stuff. Has there been any plan or discussion of having the garage put some rust proofing on this when we get it?
We can do that. I don't know if Joe we could talk to the garage and make sure to do that. They've been doing that with a lot of our new
That's
vehicles.
what I'm saying.
Yep, yep.
Just because you're going to be using it on the beach and stuff like that, so it's going to be in a salt environment, so that would make sense.
It's a good suggestion, John. We'll take care of that.
You have a comment, Roy?
Yeah, I have
Okay.
a question.
All right.
Joe, this vehicle, most of our vehicles that went through Sandy, we got insurance on. I know we did with the fire trucks and a lot of the police cars and stuff like that. Did we get insurance on this?
No, there was not on this one.
There was no damage?
No, there was no insurance on this one.
We had a vehicle without insurance?
No, Scott Evans come up, he was the commissioner at the time. He'll have the answer for that.
All right.
Are you asking if we received an insurance payment for the vehicle
Yes.
or if we had insurance?
No, he just said we didn't have it, it wasn't insured.
Yeah.
All of our vehicles are insured.
I was going to say, I think
All of our vehicles are insured.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
All our vehicles are insured. Actually, our fire trucks are insured with, our fire trucks are insured with replacement value. This truck was not damaged during Sandy.
Okay.
So there was no insurance claim made on it, but.
That was my question.
Right, but it did live through it, it survived, and it's been serving since then. It's
Right.
just very tired.
And any idea how many miles, Joe?
Does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
I don't have it off the top of my head.
Yes, because I'd like to know how long a vehicle lasts for.
Before it rusts out.
Well, I'd like to know. Yeah.
Joe, so there was a
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Joe, I think I'd sent out that number, but there's a discrepancy from last year's numbers. I don't know which one's wrong, so we should just look into that. And
Okay.
Any other comments from the council?
I'm sorry, one other thing.
Oh, okay.
Dan, I know I brought this up before. Can we start looking into mini bids? Because the mini bid that I saw for this is $6,000 cheaper.
yeah, you brought that up. I'll definitely start looking at
Okay.
how we look around. I know, Joe, you did look at multiple different bids for this, I believe, right? You originally had was it, I can't remember, the state bid, and then we went to
Right, this is on a state bid. There was other ones that were looked at. It was just a bare minimum of around $50,000 that did not include any additional things to it. It was just the truck. Adding everything else on would have been an additional $13,000 to $16,000, putting us around the same ballpark of what we're getting for this one for.
So just, Joe, in the future, Roy has a good point. There are some mini bids. We need to look at those as well, and we'll make sure we continue to look for whatever the lowest
That's fine.
public bid is.
Of
Because
course.
we buy a lot, I noticed, from Commander. And, it seems that we should be able to get something a little better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Comments from the public?
James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street. Just before I speak about anything with the firemen, as you paid homage earlier today, I just want to take a few moments of my minutes in silence. And I take a few moments in silence in honor of the life and legacy of the former Buffalo Township Fire Chief, who passed away tragically killed this weekend. I just stand and rise anytime that there's equipment or anything come up with the firemen. They don't look at what party you are. They don't look at what town you are. They run in when we're running out. And I honor what they do greatly. The paid and volunteer who gets off work, who run from work, who run in the middle of work or before work to save lives. And so when it comes to equipment, I say, whatever way this city can get grants to help them out more, whatever way this city can give them any piece of new technology equipment they can. Again, I honor them for saving so many lives. I honor my friends and my family members that's on the fire department. And again, so I just ask that you vote in support of this piece of equipment and anything you can to help out our Long Beach Fire Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we'll close it.
Okay. Finally, item 9 is approval of minutes of prior meeting, July 2nd, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Freemore.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Okay, on to the voting section. So item 1 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding Ocean Beach Park. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
I'll second it.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
So this is an interesting one for me because I believe we need to do this. Right now, it's vague in the charter. It's split up in different places. But I'm not comfortable with the wording as it's written right now because it doesn't require any reason for the city manager to be able to close the beach or the boardwalk. It just, they can do it whenever they feel like it as long as they file a memo. And I don't think that was the intent of this. The intent was in extenuating circumstances, but it's not written that way. So for that reason, I'm going to vote no.
Councilmember Lester.
Yeah, I think this is completely covered in Section 24 of the New York State Code, and this is exactly what we used last time we needed it, and it worked out perfectly. And I think it's confusing the way it's worded right now, and I agree with John that the idea of closing the beach without an emergency doesn't seem to make sense to me. So I'm going to vote no.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Fortunately, we have a corporate counsel that can advise us on wording for ordinances because it can, it can be semantics here or there. We spoke with our corp counsel. He advised us this was the best way to do it, and I tend to agree, so I'm voting yes.
Vice President Fiamara.
Yeah, just to echo what Mike said, I agree. Our corp counsel's there to advise us, and I am going to take his word that this is covered. More importantly, the more I thought about it through this meeting, I actually like that it doesn't have a specific reason. It's more at the discretion of the city manager. That way, we're prepared for any unforeseen event like what we dealt with, last month. That being said, if we have a city manager that doesn't use discretion properly, we have a bigger problem. The beauty of that is we have the ability to get rid of them the way our charter and our council works here in the city. So for that reason, I think it's great. I'm going to vote yes.
President Finn.
I think that the wording is clear. I agree with what Mike said. The Corporation Counsel advises this is the best way to go. And I will just harken back to a month ago when we had back-to-back issues on the beach, and then at the train station, and then the proposed party. And we were, I wouldn't say scrambling, but we were working to figure out what could be done, what could be said, how we can do it. I think this this answers a lot of those questions, and I think it's very clear that it gives the city manager the discretionary tools that he needs to make the city safe. So I'm voting yes.
Item 2 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding personnel code. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second? I'll second it.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
So this is another one that I'm torn on. There's a lot in here that we need to update, but there was something, I guess I'll say, snuck in here, the going from 50 to 80 days. Look, no one is going to argue that our exempt employees don't work hard. They put in overtime, they don't get paid for it. I mean, technically, I'm an exempt employee, and there's weeks I make less than minimum wage, quite frankly. It's just the nature of being an exempt. But I also not only have to look out for our exempt employees, but I have to look out for the taxpayers as well. And having employees carry 4 months of vacation on the books is not in the taxpayer's interest, because those are payouts that get made often when they leave, sizable sums of money, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 we're talking about here. Outside of government, it's most vacation is you use it or you lose it. You don't get to roll it over for indefinite periods of time or have months of it. And that's just a perk of working for government, because it used to be that was to offset the lower compensation maybe government employees received. But again, my job is also not to make sure our exempts are taken care of, but that the taxpayers are represented as well. And I don't think this should be in here. This should be a separate issue, addressed separately. So for that reason on this, I'm going to vote no, because I don't think it's in the taxpayer's interest.
Councilmember Lester.
I agree with very much of what John said. It is our job to watch over the money. On the other hand, there is an element of fairness, and if an exempt has been getting paid a certain amount and then suddenly it's taken away, that's not fair. I have a lot of respect for the amount of time that the exempts put in, and we have to be fair. And even though it might cost some money, which I hate the idea, but you know, you don't give somebody something, expect them to work, and then suddenly say, no, you're not going to get it anymore. So I'm going to vote yes on this.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
I agree with Roy.
Somebody call Guinness.
It's a fairness issue. It's something our exempt employees had before. It was taken away. We're just righting it wrong. I vote yes.
Vice President Fiamara.
I agree. I mean, our men and women who run the city, they work very hard. I don't view this as a payout. It's earned time. It's not like these old contracts we used to give city managers that we're still paying for. This is earned time, and you know, good employees mean a good ran city. So I'm voting yes.
President Finn.
I agree with John Bendo. It is our responsibility to look out for the taxpayers, and that's what we do. We employ good employees, people who work hard for the city, people who work, as Scott did, without great compensation, without good compensation. So it's important for us to look out for the taxpayers by having employees that are willing to work hard for us. If we don't treat them fairly, if we treat one group one way and another group another way, what does that breed? Enmity, jealousy, and a breakdown in the workforce. So it's important for us to look at both sides of that story. The fact that Sean got up and endorsed this also meant something to me, and of course I'm voting in favor of it. Yes.
Item 3 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding motor vehicles and traffic. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
This is something that has to be addressed, but this does not address it. You have to understand, if you look at this ordinance, if some kid is riding his bike on the sidewalk, he now can be fined $500. You know, if you look at as somebody pointed out, we have no east-west passage in this town except for the boardwalk. But there are a lot of kids who want to go to the stores. There are a lot of kids who want to go in different parts. Now let's just take in front of Hollywood. That sidewalk's about 30 feet wide, something like that. But you ride your bike there instead of riding it on Park Avenue by Long Beach Road, you're entitled to be fined $500. That doesn't solve the problem. We have a problem here. This is not solving it. I vote no.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
One of the main points of this resolution is to an antiquated fine of $2. It's difficult to enforce a $2 fine. It doesn't really create much of a deterrence. I agree, we need bike lanes. It's of course we want bike lanes. I have children biking all over the town. But for this particular resolution, I vote yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yeah, so I see all angles of this. I agree. You know, there's a few people came up and talked about speed and other things, and they're all real factors, right? I think just like those factors, I think our law enforcement and our judges are going to use those same factors when it comes to the law with this, because I don't believe in any part of my body that any child's getting a $500 fine for riding his bike on the sidewalk. This is there for enforcement. It's there for when the cops do have to enforce it, that they have something viable. If people know there's only a $2 fine in place, they're going to pop a wheelie and ride away from you. If it's something that's real and you give a few out, you maybe set an example. So I'm going to vote yes.
President Finn.
I'm glad you said that, Chris. I was walking down the street in Manhattan just yesterday, and a kid on a bike rode right past me at about 20 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour, but it wasn't an e-bike, and he popped wheelies up and down on 59th Street between Columbus and Broadway. There were hundreds of people on the sidewalk, right? This was a young kid. You can't ride your bike on the sidewalk. Why is it against the VTL? Why is it against the law? Because people can get hurt. You can hit an old man, you can hit a kid, you can hit anybody when you're riding your bike on the sidewalk. So these are the reason for these laws. Yes, there are exceptions. Well, I don't want to get hit by a car because it's really dangerous. Well, then walk your bike on the sidewalk. We have to watch out for everybody else. That's what this is about. It's not about you individual. It's about society. I know you're looking at your watch, Dave. I'm sorry. I'll hurry. And I don't blame you. But to the e-bikes, yeah, it would be great to ride your e-bike that's a pedal assist bike on the boardwalk. I agree. And if it's only going 8 or 9 miles an hour, but it can go 30, and people will drive at that speed if they can sometimes. So, I mean, this is just all about safety to me, and of course, yes. I'm voting yes.
Item 4 is a local law amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding city officers, their general powers and duties. Who introduced and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I'll second it.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Thank you to Ray Flammer for doing this job, and now thank you to Ina for taking it on. I vote yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
I'll echo what John said. Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept a charitable donation. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second? I will.
Who got that?
I do.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Thank you again to the Squad's Memorial people. Very generous and going to be put to good use. Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Thanks again, yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Of course, yes. Thank you, guys.
And President Finn.
Yes, thanks.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase towels and tissues from the lowest responsible bidders. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
Before we do this, I have to recuse myself from this item.
So too late to do that. You would have to have done that when we called the item. Can't recuse once the item's, you already sat through the item.
All right,
You can abstain, but you can't, you can abstain.
No problem. I just had asked this before.
I don't think you opined, though.
Yeah, you had to,
No, I did not opine.
I know, I said I don't think you opined.
No.
I didn't accuse you of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I said
Sorry.
recuse, not
Yeah.
accuse.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing semantics tonight. It's going to be a big semantics night. I like that.
Okay, so who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
I'll second it.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester, abstain. Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order for supply, transport, and delivery of concrete from the most responsible bidder. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
And item 8 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase a 2023 Chevrolet Silverado under Franklin County contract. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes, and sorry it took so long. I don't mean the meeting, I just mean this.
City manager's monthly personnel report has been filed by the city clerk. Who will make a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes. Let the fun begin.
Back right next to me.
Sean O'Neill.
Sean O'Neill, Long Beach. I was in the bathroom when they mentioned the hockey thing. I'm a part of this community. I coached with Joe for 10 years. I played for Joe. I mean, I've worked for him since I was 12. There's not a guy in this town that deserves more recognition than Joe. I don't. The Squad Memorial guys, they're great, and they did what they have to do, and it's great. Our community sticks together. But I just want to come up here and let you guys know that there's a reason that Joe Brand is Mr. Hockey in Long Beach. He has touched so many people in this town. We are a community, we're a family. So I think that, I just want to come up and say for Joe to have a little bit of recognition because he's been doing this for over 25 to 30 years, and the amount of kids that could have veered off the path, he kept them on the straight and narrow. This guy right here. But just wanted to put that on record. I missed the chance to say it, but Joe Brand is Mr. Hockey in Long Beach. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Don't tell Gordy how. Thanks, Joe. James Hodge. You going to talk about hockey?
Absolutely. Back to Joe. James Hodge, 95 East Fuller Street. Just wanted to thank Joe again. During the campaign, one of the things we were talking about, and I spoke to Joe and others about bringing roller hockey back to Long Beach. I mean, you can go back and look at some videos. And Joe said, well, I would love to do it. And sometimes it just takes the city council to support the idea, or the city administration to support the idea and finding the funds and all of the things that go with it. And it's not that the city council didn't support it, but I guess it's just a whole bunch of things that go together. And so it's something that I'm excited that is back. Spoke to Randy Dodd and spoke to so many other people about roller hockey and the history here in the city of Long Beach. So I applaud Joe and all of those that helped bring it back. Also, again, I want to, as we ran a strong campaign against each other, Finn and Reinhardt, and
I was running against you?
Yeah. So, but the thing is that even though we ran against each other.
What about me? You didn't run against me?
Yeah, you too, Vice President, with the companies, Got you. I just want to say that we didn't resort to violence. And we can have strong debates on different things. But again, I say that people should be able to go to different events and not be shot or killed. And so again, I pay respects to the fire chief that lost his life. And some people may argue, well, you know, and sometimes you may hear about the shooter more or not, whether what party he was in, but you know, some people say, well, he was a Republican and he had Republican signs, and all of that to me doesn't matter. He still killed someone, and that person shouldn't have been killed. And so whatever party this young man was in, even though he was in the Republican Party, no one's life should have been taken. You have a question?
He was in the Republican Party?
Yeah, you ain't see that? That's how much they not showing that part, but he was, because it's on TV.
He was a registered Republican.
He was a registered Republican, but he had all kinds of Republican signs on
But
the
his
show.
last donation was to the Progressive Democratic movement.
Well,
in the amount of $15.
Yeah, $15. But as they said, you know, and that's not a debate. I don't care what party was in. My point is that someone's
John Lindsay was a Republican, by the way. Who? John Lindsay.
See, you say this is what happens when you say what party the shooter was in, but it's irrelevant. It's someone that was dead, and it is someone, a hero, that lost his life. And I come to really just pay respect and say that even though we ran a campaign, we still can reason together, we still can work together, and after the campaign, we can still do some things together, and no one should lose their life. And so, again, I say that I will continuously fight against gun violence. I've had a nephew that was killed here in Long Beach down the street due to gun violence, and family members that was shot and also killed due to gun violence. And so let us continue to do what we can in this country to not result to gun violence. God bless.
Thank you. I couldn't agree more. You know, gun violence is a major problem in this country, and along with that problem is that the people using those guns are not being taken care of by the community, by their families, by the people that raise them. This is a problem. You know, I agree with you, Samantha Hurwitz.
Hi, Samantha Hurwitz. So I'm an Ocean Beach Park employee, and I try to get shifts all the time, but it's so hard. Like, I literally try to call, like, I have to call multiple times to get a shift. And I know there's one person, good job to them, but I feel like there should be another phone and another person, because I feel like it's unfair for everyone else who are trying to get a shift and it's taken. So...
So you're talking about on the beach park? Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, then we're gonna we'll fix that problem. We'll make it so you can get a shift.
Yeah,
as long
it's
as you
really hard.
as long as you ask every person who goes past you to see their beach pass.
That's what I do.
And I'm sure you will, because I want all of them to do that.
She's known for it, actually.
Well, then you could come to Grand Boulevard, because we need you on Grand.
Grand? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I got
Come
you.
on down.
I got you. Of course.
I saw you at Pacific.
Oh, yeah, you did see me at Pacific. Yep.
Yeah, we'll fix that problem. You need shifts, you'll get them.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Riskin. Hi, Karen.
Hi, good evening. I have some flyers to hand out
Okay.
so you could see what I'm talking about.
All right. I think I have a pretty good idea what you're going to talk about.
Well, that's great. Okay, I'm here because something that happened over the weekend broken in Nantucket. It happens to be that the wind turbines broke and they fell off in the water and they ended up on the beach. So just to start with what at the end I'm going to go to is these are pictures of what the turbines look like in size, which are the size of a football field. Each turbine, if they break off, this is what's going to be on the beaches. They're talking about over 1,000 turbines being built on our beaches. We also have the Bureau of Safety and Environment Enforcement who are investigating the incidents. So for the moment, they shut down everything in the beaches. The Empire Wind size is 153 turbines. Behind them will be 697 more being built. They are 951 feet tall, which is over and above the size of the Crystal building. And again, that's the size of the football field. The fiberglass, these wind turbines contain fiberglass that contains bisphenol, which is an endocrine disruptor, which gets into the food, the water. The fish will die eating these shards of fiberglass, and they're not good for the ocean or our community. If we're in the ocean and there are loose shards, we could certainly get cut by them. And they could land on the beach, and then if you're in the ocean, you can get cut by them and not realize it. Maybe we can get Mr. Lasquadro to look into the information with this.
Yeah?
I mean, if this comes to Long Beach, which most likely will, let's hope not. We're fighting against it, as everybody knows.
Right.
But we don't want to. But if it did, this would not be healthy for us. Once again, size of a football field. Imagine all those wind turbines breaking and landing up on our beaches.
Yeah.
That would be a shame.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just under the bell there. You made it. Jennifer Seraphin? She's gone. Okay. Christina Kramer?
Hello again, Christina Kramer, Broadway. So just wanted to, first of all, give you guys our flyer for having a Duck the Turbines end of the summer fundraiser. Our team's been working.
How do you get the ducks to like float straight?
We're going to bring a big 20-foot slip and slide, and we're going to throw the ducks in there, and they're going to get to the end, and we're going to have a contest, and people can win prizes, monetary prizes. I hope some of you will be there to support us. So our team works really hard researching Equinor's documents. Every civic association has turned me down for a presentation, yet they've had Island Park come here and present. And the association they had in Island Park is a neutral association who is thrilled to take a community benefit if it was offered. We hired a lawyer, Ben Wisniewski, because we didn't feel represented at that time, and our lawyer's doing a fantastic job, even though Empire 2 is on a pause. We still don't understand why you didn't consider hiring Ben for corporate counsel, consult. And we have looked into Mr. Lasquadro, and we're hoping for the best, but we're concerned that we have the fox guarding the hen house. Lasquadro stated that solar panels are a zero impact project. What are his thoughts on cables? Because solar panels contain lead, cadmium, and other toxic chemicals. that cannot be removed without breaking apart the entire panel. He also said that battery storage will have zero impact on noise, traffic, and visual, and never ever mentioned anything about safety and health. Does he feel the same way about the cables and low-frequency infrasound from turbines? So these are questions we'd like Mr. DeCranis or you guys to ask Mr. Lo Squadro. We have no interaction with him, but we just want to make sure we're on the same page and that we don't have the fox guard in the hen house. His brother was actually involved with Sunrise Wind, or one of the wind projects out east, and they were happy to take a community benefit. We don't want that same situation here, so please make sure you know who you're working with. So just to carry on, I was also denied a presentation at the Chamber of Commerce. They said that they don't even remember me asking. I did. They sent me on a wild goose chase to find experts, which I did, and then they just never responded to me. So finally, yesterday they pulled in this political hack lobbyist who had no information, didn't know the specs of the project, just was preaching good green energy with no facts or statistics behind him. I called him out several times. It wasn't pretty. But finally, I've been approved for a presentation at the library. They're giving me 3 months of presentations, 1 per month. I'm really happy about that because I want the community to get educated and understand what these projects are. And as you can see, 3 minutes is really a small amount of time to transfer this information to the public. The date isn't determined because they just changed it on me. I just saw an email like 2 seconds ago. It was supposed to be next Wednesday, but it is going to be changed. There's an event on our page. So please go to our page, Protect Our Coast, LINY, and see what time and date our presentations will be. We promise to be informative and apolitical. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you. Tim Kramer.
Hi, Tim Kramer, 361 East Broadway. Fen, to answer your question, how are you going to get the ducks down, down the stream or whatever? We're going to have a duck. The ducks are going to be in a row.
Why did the duck cross the road?
Yeah, we're going to have a ducks in a row. I'm surprised my wife didn't. That was a layup, so I'm surprised she didn't get that. But anyway, my wife also stole all my stuff. We're going to have to evidently have a meeting prior to these council meetings. So one question she didn't ask that I would like to have answered: Who hired Mr. Los Cuadro?
The city did.
Okay, but was it a collective decision to hire him?
No, the Corporation Council.
Okay, great. Okay, so I mean, I'm just trying to understand the thought process, because like my wife has mentioned many times that, we have was Ben ever a consideration for hire? Was Ben ever a consideration for hire?
You mean Mr. Wisniewski?
Yes.
I reached out and I spoke to different firms, and I had enough people reply, and Mr. Lo Squadro and another gentleman, I talked to them, and I was very happy with them. I'm still very happy with them. They know how to throw a roadblock into whatever's coming down the road. I don't think anything is. I think it's going to go out east. However, just in case, we have people that have done it and have been on the other side. So if you want a defense attorney that's a very nice fellow, but he doesn't have any experience, or would you rather have a prosecutor that's now going to represent you, who's done all of the other things on the other side? Also, some of his colleagues have been around the block a long time, and I won't go into all of it, but I'm very happy with what we have.
Okay.
I think you'll be happy with them too.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for the thought process there. I appreciate that. Also, I want to bring up Mr. Bendo. Last night at the Chamber of Commerce meeting, you mentioned that those miles of high voltage wires in New York City. And then at the New York State Public Service Commission meeting, you brought up an interesting point, and that, if assuming that this did go through and there was construction with the cables, that our east to west traffic would be a tremendous problem. And that's an interesting point. It's a great point that you brought up, and I appreciate you for that. But I want to segue into your point that you made last night, that there's high voltage wires in New York City. It would be like saying that, you know, mentioning with Long Beach, with the construction, with the road construction, and then me saying, well, there's all kinds of road construction in New York City, so if it's good for New York City, then it's good for us. So I'm not sure of the correlation, but, you know, again, Christina last night brought up, you know, we don't know how deep these wires are, how many voltage these wires carry in New York City, but quite honestly, what happens in New York City, I really don't care. We're here in Long Beach. And the reason why I bring this up with, you know, Mr. Los Cuadro and what you had mentioned last night, Mr. Bendo, is that when things like this get brought up, it raises concern about the commitment of everybody on this stage. And I would ask that everybody on the stage stand shoulder to shoulder with us, looking over the hill and around the corner, and you know, it's important that we all stay together with this with these cables coming through the town. The beeping makes me, so anyway, it's important that we stay together with this, because you know, the people that are involved with Parklany, you know, all of a sudden it does create some doubt. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
So let me clarify for you. What I said last night was, many times, many people from your group have made the statement that there have been no high voltage transmission lines put on the residential streets. This is the first. Long Beach would be the first time they're doing it.
With offshore.
That is a true statement in Long Beach, but elsewhere. So to confirm, I actually called Con Edison, the head of transmission and distribution, and asked, and he said, oh, heck yeah. We have 760 miles of them right under the street, and they're typically 3 feet down. It may vary, you know, in different parts of the city. So I was just giving that, and I said this specifically, it was a data point I was just giving, so people had a data point. I also clarified that I have no data on health impacts that those cables might cause.
Right.
So that's all I was doing, was giving a data point
Right.
of there actually are high voltage transmission lines under residential streets around the country.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, you know, we're here in Long Beach. You know, what goes on in New York City stays in New York City, but you know, it's important that we keep our community.
Right.
pure,
I'm just
I
trying
guess.
to keep the argument that's being made honest.
Right.
For everybody, that, you know, everybody. Just because New York City, to your point, doesn't mean we need to do it.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Right.
So, but I was
Okay.
just giving, like I said, a data point that it is done elsewhere, but that doesn't mean we have to do it.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I think the kid popping the wheelies on 59th Street ran over one of those cables, though. That's what happened. He was electrified. Ron Paganini, speaking of high voltage cables. No, that's what we're going to talk about. The letter.
Hello, everybody. Ron Paganini,
Hi, Ron.
Long Beach. I got a light agenda. Of course, the letters that hopefully they're sent to Equinor.
Look at this, Ron.
I have it right here, Ron.
Sent? Sent.
Sent.
He thought you weren't here tonight. I said he's in the back corner. Ron
No,
is
it's
not
like
here and I have his
like
letter.
when you're a cop and you bring your raincoat out and it doesn't rain. I figure if I bring the letter, you wouldn't show up.
Can I get a copy? Can
Yeah, of course. I brought it for you. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, of course.
Well, thank you for that. Well, let's get back to the fireworks. It was the worst night ever.
I had a worse night than you did. I'm sorry.
Brandon, it was from 8:30 to quarter to 9 till 2:30 in the morning. It was horrendous. It's not your fault. It's not the people up here's fault. This has been going on for, I'm saying, about 9 years, 8 years, okay? It escalated into this past 4th of July, where people think they can do what they want, you know, and whatever. They have professionals, by the way, the people on Clark Street, I found out from a couple of women that they were professionals down at the end by the park. So anybody can hire a professional to come to your house, do about 10,000 rounds or 500,000 rounds, doesn't matter, all night. You can hire them because nobody's stopping them. Listen, I don't blame the police, I don't blame you guys, but I did see the city manager, we spoke with the commissioner, and Phil was there too. And we came to the conclusion that you could never stop the beginning of fireworks on 4th of July. Listen, since I'm a kid. But the difference is the duration of it. How long? How long is it going to go on? Now, we have a barge, they do 35 minutes, 40 minutes, it's over. 9:30, it's over. So the thing is, we have to police next year, basically, give, you know, wait, by the time you get around, it's 10 o'clock, 10:15. When I was a kid, the cops used to come through the West End with the lights on, no sirens. And the Jeeps came on the beach, east and west. And when you saw the things, it was over. The people knew it was over. It was 9:30, 10 o'clock. It was over. Even if it ran a little later. And we knew the police would say, listen, wind it up, let's go. That's the way it was here. If anybody was here, that's the way it was. This is what we have to do next year, okay? And that's it. I don't care if they got 1,000,000 rounds. I can't live in the house.
I know. I agree.
So we had a good talk. We agreed. Even the mob boss, Gotti, okay, stopped at 10:30. Am I right, Mr. Creighton?
When do they usually blow up the street on Virginia? What time was that? When they usually
On Virginia Street?
Yeah, the garbage can in the middle, right? You know.
Well, you know, listen, we used to have the mats in there, put the mats in the garbage can, but it was over by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know that,
Right.
you know, by 10:30. Yeah. And anything past now, anything past 4th of July, and they're going to blow stuff off for more than 15, 20 minutes or half hour, I'm calling up.
I agree.
And I want it stopped then. And listen, that's all I ask for.
Me too.
I'm a patriot. You know what? Let's give it give it the devil's due here. But it's going to end. I hope so. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ron. I'll give it to you after we're done.
All right.
Judy Vining.
Hello.
Hi.
Is this on? Yeah? Okay. Question before I get to anything else. How does the order of who comes up happen? Because in the year of the flood, there used to be a sign-up sheet, so whoever came first was called on first. Then there was a time that people got grouped into whatever their topic was. But now it looks like first come, last served.
No, it was handed to me that way, and I started just taking it. And once I started, I said, well.
Exactly.
That was just a mistake. I didn't put
Okay,
that,
just
that's all.
curious.
Yeah. So sorry to keep you here. But think of all the scintillating conversations you heard while you were here,
good.
right?
It's good. I really came to just ask you, as a reminder, when we do have this movie night, when there are announcements made, it's always, make sure you clean up after yourself, et cetera, et cetera. But in years past, there has been sometimes an excess of adult drinking for the kids' movies. And so if you could ask as a reminder that the beach is alcohol-free, at least it might stem some of the tide. Because one year on Neptune Boulevard, there was a kid that went missing. Didn't go very far. They found him on Shore Road, but the mom was a little bit too under the
What was the
influence
movie?
too. find him. So, we just don't want, it's avoidance. When I talk to parents, I ask them, what other law would you let your kids sit there and watch you break? I can't think of any, right? But they have no problem watching them break the regulation that says no alcohol on our public beaches.
Right.
And it's about safety. The ocean and alcohol just don't mix. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. And appreciate movie night on the beach, too. Believe it or not, everybody, that's it. Please arrive home safely. Thank you for coming. Democracy in progress.